Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Valdo Kalm. I am in charge of Tallinna Sadam Group, and Andrus is our CFO. We would like to present results from Q4 and 12 months, and I would like to start with main events, and then we will from last year, and then we will move to the Q4. Last year, we have seen quite a good recovery of our passenger business. We reached 8 million by the end of the year with help of good cooperation with operators and Victoria First. The ship from Tallinn also started the Finnish route. What is it? A bit different business model, but very, very helpful for us. And of course, we aiming to reach the pre-COVID level after a certain period, what was 10 million. Then we signed agreement and we started construction of Paldiski offshore wind farm, a key. That's very important growth project for the future. We're basically entering with that to the new business area or to the value chain of green energy transaction, and everything is moving as planned. Reconstruction is ongoing and construction, and the key must be ready by the end of next year. And then, of course, we would like to see immediately the new revenues coming from that. Then we signed the contract with Estonia stock building agency for operation in LNG quay in Pakrineeme Harbour. That's an interesting project in terms of business because we gaining certain fixed revenues every month, but also it's a good test and experience how to totally remotely operate the harbour, because it's totally fully based on technology and digitalization. Then in Q1 we completed the construction of double ramp in Muuga for Ro. That gave us extra cargo. One ship called per day. It's also very well received from the customers. Therefore, we are happy with this project. Botnica, our icebreaker, made such a special summer charters. We had a possibility to serve Equinor and British Petroleum, new customer for us, and then Baffinland in Canada. And in our ferry business, we had record year in terms of passengers, in terms of ship calls and vehicles. Of course, state also announced new procurement tender for the next period, and we're preparing for that. Also important that we had a competition for architectural design for our Terminal A in Old City Harbour. We got quite a heavy competition. We named the winner, and now we already signed the contract for design. This e-terminal is such a last investment to the Old City Harbour. With this terminal, we're serving our important customers, Viking Line and Eckerö Line. And we signed Finnish-Estonian Green Corridor Agreement. That's quite the important conception or concept to really have green traveling, to gain new customers, to really make this corridor climate neutral. And we signed it with 2 ports, all 3 operators and 2 cities. We had CREVEX evacuation exercise in Muuga. That was first such a live, huge exercise that went well. And we got Responsible Business Index Gold label as a port and also as our shipping company, TS Laevad. And we got nomination in top tourism developer. And then we had a closing bell ceremony in New York because in 2021 Tallinna Sadam got the best investor relationship award in Baltics. Now to the Q4. What are the main trends here? And generally speaking, our Q4 was quite good due to the efficiency program, but also we got quite a good support from passenger business. The number of passengers showed a growth. Then there was extra vessel calls, and due to that, the revenue made 8% growth in Q4. On cargo side, decline in cargo volumes continued, of course, a little bit in a lower level than total year, and that's mainly due to the sanctions on liquid bulk. Ferry business, as I mentioned, had a record year, and also Q4 was good, and we had a growth in revenues, and same for Botnica, more charter days and higher charter fee rate. Altogether, we had quite a good quarter. Here you see the concrete figures for Q4, and then, as we already mentioned, we reached almost 8 million last year. Very important on this slide is that our vessel calls number is very stable, because here we getting the biggest part of our revenues. On cargo side, decline in Q4, and as we already mentioned, due to the sanctions, we had decrease almost 30% last year totally, coming mainly from liquid bulk. Ferry business showed a good result last year, a record year in terms of trips and passengers, and Botnica also made a good Q4, although the charter days were on a little bit lower level than last year, but basically also quite a stable rate. Future outlook. Definitely, we will continue with our cost efficiency programs. As we mentioned, we lowered the maintenance cost and personnel cost in Q4. We have still ongoing audits in our infrastructure maintenance operations. Therefore, there are always find efficiency, and we will focus on that. We believe also this year that the passenger business continues to grow. We expect certain growth in terms of passengers in regular lines, in cruise. Very important to find new ro-ro or container lines. We have capacity in Muuga and in Paldiski, and definitely it's important to mention that there is quite a big increase of interest in offshore wind farms based harbour. That means we investing to the quay and to the backyard. It become such a hub to install and maintenance the wind farms, and it's definitely not only for the Estonian wind farms but also for all the Baltic sea states around the Baltic Sea, thinking about installing the new wind farms. And I guess Paldiski is an excellent harbor to serve these new farms in coming years. Therefore, that's definitely one of our growth projects with hopefully concrete revenues and profits in nearest future. Also, we see that offshore market is growing quite well. Therefore, we see demand on that also for Botnica, and we now design the second offshore ship. No investment decision yet made, but we're really designing it, and of course we're making the business plan. At least the market shows, due to the new energy, green energy demand, and to the green agenda, definitely the growth potential. And if we are ready with our business plan, then probably the investment decision will be made in second half of the year. Then we also working with different alternatives or scenarios for our ferry business, and it's still ongoing preparation on real estate business model, and we hope that we can open the first tender end of this year. As we know, we have quite a huge plot here, and the capacity is big. Therefore, we have to move to this market step by step. And again, we see this Pakrineeme LNG quay as a test site for the future business. Also, maybe we can expand this remotely controlled port operation even outside of Estonia, because technology allows that, and therefore this Pakrineeme quay is very interesting to operate. That's very briefly. I would like to give floor to Andrus.
Thank you, Valdo. And hello from my side as well. And I go on with the financial results for the fourth quarter and full year period 2023. In the fourth quarter, revenue was basically at the same level as in 2022. In the fourth quarter, revenue was strongly supported by the activities of our icebreaker Botnica, which was chartered out for extra 19 days in the fourth quarter in Canada, and this contributed in large scale positively to revenue. Also, it was quite a good quarter for passenger harbour segment. The new ship, Tallinn ship Victoria I, started to operate the Tallinn-Helsinki route, and this gave also good extra revenue. And the number of passengers continually recovered, and passenger fees also increased. At the same time, there was offsetting effect from sale of electricity. Electricity prices were lower, and due to that, this lowered the revenue. But the effect on EBITDA level actually was positive from the lower electricity prices, as the costs decreased more. Adjusted EBITDA increased by 16% and amounted to 10.4 million euros. And the increase is here caused by or driven by lower operating costs. We were able to decrease the maintenance costs of non-current assets in the fourth quarter, and like I already mentioned, the electricity costs decreased, and this gave a good support to the growth of EBITDA. Personnel expenses remain flat thanks to our efficiency plans. We were able to reduce the number of employees by 4.5%, and this enabled us to keep the personnel expenses at the same level as in the fourth quarter of 2022. Operating profit increased by 77% and amounted to 4.6 million euros. Here, the growth is in euros higher than on EBITDA level. To explain that, in the fourth quarter 2022, we wrote off and wrote down some non-current assets, and the impact from that was about 500,000 euros, and this explains why the operating profit increased more than EBITDA. We didn't pay any dividends in the fourth quarter, therefore we didn't have any income tax. Profit for the period increased by 75% and amounted to 2.9 million euros. And the growth here was 1.2 million euros. And the profit for the period was impacted also higher interests in amount of 900,000 euros because the Euribor rates has increased. We invested almost 10 million euros in the fourth quarter last year, which is one of the highest investment level during one quarter over last years. The main investment were made in Paldiski South Harbour as we restarted the construction of the quay which we will use to serve the offshore wind farms. On full year period, the group ended the year with a revenue of 116.6 million euros, which is 4.2 million euros less than year before, 4.2% less than a year before or year earlier, and this was mainly attributable to lower cargo volumes and lower number of cargo ship calls. Also, there were a strong impact from lower electricity prices, and the sale of electricity therefore decreased. But it was a good year for our icebreaker Botnica in terms of revenue. Also, ferry segment showed good results, and passenger harbour also recovered. So, all in all, the revenue decline was about 5 million euros. Adjusted EBITDA decreased by 12% and amounted to 49.2 million euros. Here the result was impacted by lower revenue. Operating costs actually decreased due to the lower electricity prices, but maintenance costs at the same time increased. But here is important to point out that the increase was mainly attributable to shipping segments. In our cargo harbours and passenger harbours, the maintenance costs actually decreased, and here is clear connection with our efficiency plan. And personnel expenses increased by 9%, mainly due to the salary corrections in shipping segments, which are open to international competition. Adjusted EBITDA lowered a bit operating profit decreased by 20% and amounted to 24.6 million euros. Income tax was lower in 2023 compared to the year earlier period. We paid in 2022 25.5 million euros dividends. Last year it was 19.2 million euros. And profit for the period was almost 16 million euros and decreased by 38%. And here is also impact by higher Euribor rates. And we invested almost 21 million euros last year. 16.6 million of that was made in harbors and harbors infrastructures. For Botnica, we invested 3 million euros, which were mainly dock works, and in ferry segment, the investment level was 1 million euros. Here are the results by segment-wise. In the fourth quarter, the revenue increased in 3 segments out of 4. In passenger harbor segment, like already mentioned, the growth was supported by the Victoria I, which started to operate, and a higher number of passengers. On EBITDA level, in passenger harbor segment, the growth was even higher than on revenue. We managed to decrease the maintenance costs, and at the same time the electricity price was lower and consumption was also a bit lower, so it helped us to achieve better results on EBITDA. In cargo harbor segment, revenue decreased because of less cargo ship calls, and also sale of electricity decreased. And in connection with that, the EBITDA decreased, but in euros less than on revenue level. And here also the impact, positive impact, came from electricity prices. Ferry segment showed growth on EBITDA, on revenue, but there was a decline in EBITDA because of bonuses in this segment in the end of last year. In the segment other, the revenue was supported by the longer charter period in the Q4 last year, and also the EBITDA increased. On 12-month period, revenue in the passenger harbor segment decreased, but less than 1%. There was negative impact from less cruise ship calls in our ports, but it was offset by a higher number of passengers and better results from vessels which are calling our harbors on regular basis. And EBITDA also increased in this segment. In cargo harbors, due to the same reasons as in Q4, the revenue decreased, and also EBITDA decreased. In the ferry segment, last year it was a very good year. The revenue increased by 5%, and also EBITDA increased by 5%. We made a bit more trips, but also here was the impact of indexation, the fees. In the segment other, the revenue increased despite we had less charter days, but charter fee per day was higher. But due to the higher maintenance costs and preparation costs for the summer works, the EBITDA decreased. But we see that this was more like one of thing in 2024 and 2023, and this year we see that we have opportunity or potential to improve the results in this segment. Shortly about cash flows. Cash from operating activities decreased by 8 million euros and amounted to almost 44 million euros. The decrease is attributable to lower revenue mainly. Cash used in investing activities was minus 17 million euros, which reflects the higher investment level. In 2022, the impact from investing activities was very low, as we received grant payments from EU funds in amount of 15 million euros. So this made the 2022 extraordinary. And cash used in financing activities was quite stable, minus 41.4 million euros. We paid back loans in the same amount. At the same time, finance costs were higher and dividend payments were lower. Net cash flow at the end of the period was minus 14.6 million euros. And net debt at the end of the period 142 million euros, which is quite similar as a year earlier. We paid back 60 million euros loans, but at the same time the cash and cash equivalents decreased. Financial position, cash on bank accounts decreased. It reflects the impacts of cash flow statement. Non-current assets decreased due to depreciation, and capex from capex was the increasing effect, but depreciation was higher a bit. We paid back loans and reimbursed bonds in amount of 16 million euros. Due to that, debt decreased and equity decreased as we paid out dividends 19 millions. At the same time, profit for the period was 16 million euros. And we have also made a proposal to our supervisory board to pay out dividends in amount of 19.2 million euros, which is 7.3 cents per stock, and this is the same level as in 2023. This decision or proposal is made by our forecast and to support our dividend promise. So of course the decision must be approved by general meeting, but from management board side we have made the proposal. With that, we will conclude our presentation, and you can send us questions, and we will back in a couple of minutes. See you soon. Thank you.
Okay. We are back, and we got some questions in advance. And first one, what new business concepts or strategic directions the company is considering? Basically, three concepts or projects. The first one, I would like to repeat that entering to the green energy production value chain, and that's the Paldiski new quay construction to serve special ships in a future. That's definitely one of our growth projects. The second one is new SOV vessel or new offshore ship, what we just designing. And as I already mentioned, probably we will have the investment decision in a half year, in the second half of this year. And the third one is real estate development. And we would like to start with the first tender also in Q4 this year. Which business segments currently hold central position within the company's operations? We believe to our diversified business model, that means that we try to keep it quite similar for the future also. And we see basically the growth potential in all four business areas. I just mentioned this, entering to the green energy production is definitely the new direction, but we consider it under the cargo business. But yeah, we would like to keep this diversity, but helped us through the crisis. What role does the company envision for itself within Rail Baltica project? We always supported the Rail Baltica project, and we believe that helps us to better serve Scandinavian import-export, because Rail Baltica starts from Muuga Harbour, and now there is quite clear that the railway main route must be in operation 2030, and from this period we expect additional 5 million tons of cargo. It's mainly then containers as RoRo. Therefore, very important project for us for the future development.
Yes, now we move on with the questions which we got to teams. First questions. The volume of urea dropped by 97%, even though fertilizers is not a sanctioned product. Is it because Russia is diverting traffic to its own ports? Our main fertilizer operator is under sanctions, and therefore we see the impact from that. There is no other reasons that this urea is not replaced. Is this 3,000 tons a sustainable cargo level for coming quarters? Yes, we believe that 300,000 or 3 million tons is quite sustainable for coming quarters. Of course, we would like to hope some improvements there, but the 3,000 is quite sustainable. What could be the amount of annual investments in 2024? We expect the investment level in between 45 to 50 million euros. The main investment is, of course, the Paldiski South Harbour construction, and the final amount depends how the project is developing during the year. Just a reminder, the whole investment for the project is a bit more than 60 million euros. How high can net debt per EBITDA go with new growth investments? We see that it can go somewhere nearby 4 or a bit higher, but definitely lower than 4.5.
Next question: what could be these different scenarios for ferry operations? As we mentioned, really, we're preparing for the new tender. We would like to win it. That's our main target. But yes, we have different scenarios, and the first one is to charter the vessels, because the vessels are quite new, they are in a very good condition, and there is a market definitely for chartering. Secondly, we have studied the possibility to operate them as a full service in some other countries. That's also a scenario. But our main target or aim is to win the tender. Is the contract to operate the LNG terminal based on the fixed fee, or is it going to depend on the volume? Yes, it's based on fixed fee. We're getting a fixed price every month, but if there will be the tanker or vessel, then we are getting additional fees from the mooring. Every mooring is priced separately.
Okay, it seems that we are done with the questions. Thank you for asking, thank you for participating, and see you soon already in next quarters.
Thank you for your interest. See you soon.